Welcome to the Talk Podcast with ideas strategist Linda Reed-Enever. Talk is where we chat about ideas and inspiration you can use to market your business. Get ready for practical tips you can implement today with your host, Linda Reed-Enever.
Let's start this episode with a sentence I hear from business owners quite often. I know I need to be visible, but I'm just too busy or I'm just tired. And usually when someone says that to me, what follows next is a list of things that sound something a little like this. I'm trying to keep up with social media. I know I should be posting more. I haven't done a reel in weeks. I'm behind in my emails. I was meant to launch that thing. I recorded the content, but I never edited it. I started strong and then I fell off again. And somewhere underneath all of that is usually a business owner who genuinely cares about their audience, but has started associating visibility with pressure instead of connecting with people. And this is part of the conversation we need to shift, because visibility matters within business. People need to know we exist to be able to purchase from us. People need opportunities to discover who you are and your work. And people need repeated connection points with your brand, with you, so trust can be built over time and they connect with you. But visibility shouldn't feel like we're constantly spinning an uphill battle to carry our businesses on our backs. I remember having a conversation with a business owner a little while ago who was trying to show up on every single platform because some guru somewhere along the line told her she needed to dominate visibility. So she was filming TikToks and then doing another version of the post on Instagram, writing the LinkedIn articles, starting the podcast, and trying to email everyone weekly, which even I find hard to sustain with a team of marketers with me. Learning YouTube, managing the Facebook, doing all those sorts of things. And by the end of the conversation, she looked completely exhausted. And in lots of ways, I was too. And the interesting thing was that when we unpacked where her audience was coming from, most of her inquiries were actually coming from two places. That was referrals and long-form educational content. Now, not all of the 12 visibility tactics she was trying to force herself to maintain. So after then, that conversation became a really important reminder to me that visibility is much easier when it's intentional instead of reactive. Being visible doesn't mean we need to be everywhere, but it does mean that we can repurpose our content to be in more places. And visibility means being present consistently enough in the right places for the right people to find you. And that's a very different approach. So one of the first things when we start looking at visibility, we should stop asking, where should I be posting? And where does my audience already engage naturally? Because it's all about them. And different audiences will behave differently. Some audience will love consuming podcasts on the way driving to work. Now, I'm not a natural podcast listener, but I know you guys love listening to this. Some audiences will prefer short form video. They like short, sharp tips. I know my audience has moved that way recently. They've delved away from the long form unless it's a podcast and into short tips when it comes to video. Some audiences love newsletters. Some audiences gauge heavily in community spaces such as business. And other audiences are very much referral driven. What does my network say? Who do the people work with? So your visibility strategy should reflect the behavior of your audience, the behavior of your business model, and your own strengths. Because let's face it, we're only going to create content if we think we can do it. I see many business owners in this area creating so much unnecessary pressure for themselves to build visibility systems based on trends or follow the latest tool rather than sustainability. Sustainability when it comes to marketing in all my time has mattered because visibility and branding and marketing is not a one-week thing. It's an ecosystem. So if I refer to my book for a moment, we look at the content tree. The content tree reminds us that visibility is not about random disconnected content. It's about creating a strong central message and allowing our content to branch out from there. So one of the things that I love to teach in the book and in my method and classes is that one idea can become many pieces of content. And this changes everything because it removes the pressure of constantly needing brand new ideas every single day. So let's break this down into an example. A podcast like this can become social posts. It can make short form clips. It can be emailed out. I can have stories created out of it, quote graphics created out of it. I can even expand it into a blog article and possibly build it into a workshop. And that's where something like the 1 to 8 multiplier really comes in. You stop creating constantly and you start multiplying and repurposing with intention. And I think one of the most common reasons that we see business owners burning out with visibility is because they're trying to create in real time every single day. I'm in my office today recording podcasts while my house is quiet and no one else is here. If I was trying to do that every day when I needed a podcast, I'd be exhausted. Creative energy is not endless, and decision fatigue is real. And that's why systems matter so much when it comes to visibility. Batching matters. It's my favorite one. I've actually been thinking about putting a dedicated podcast day every month, a dedicated video day. Repurposing matters. Scheduling matters. And then one of the things that I find that works really well is working from central themes, because it creates consistency across the whole content ecosystem and makes visibility easier. So instead of trying to come up with random disconnected content every day, let's look at if we stay a little bit connected and we stay on message. Our audience then is going to begin to recognize the themes that we are putting out there. The ideas start reinforcing each other, and the visibility message actually all fits together like a jigsaw puzzle, and it's more cohesive for those of us who are going to work with us. And that cohesiveness builds recognition over the time. I think as business owners, we also need to become much kinder to ourselves when it comes with visibility and consistency, because there's a huge difference between sustainable consistency and unrealistic pressure. And I know the AI tools are doing this right now. Love my AI, but seriously, dudes, you are putting out content out there at the moment and plans that are for small business owners, expecting them to have teams of 10 or 20. And I don't care if someone says, oh, but it's the prompt, Linda, that needs to be out there. No, the tools are expecting you to have large teams or large budgets. So go back and tell them, please, that you don't have that. Go back and say that I'm a team of one, and look for some consistency so that you don't have that unrealistic pressure. So sustainable consistency should look something like this. Maybe one podcast a month or a week, one newsletter a month, a couple of intentional social posts, and ongoing conversations with your audience. That is consistent and still can create enormous visibility and a momentum over time. The other thing I want to touch on is, I mentioned the AI thinking you've got teams. Sometimes when we're starting out too, we compare ourselves to businesses who have teams, editors, designers, marketers, or completely different business structures supporting their visibility. And that comparison creates pressure instead of strategy. We're like, oh, they're doing it, so I must be, or I'm failing if I'm not doing that. Don't think that you're failing just because you're not doing what someone else is doing. You need to do what is right for you and your audience. And if someone has a team or visibility, those sorts of things, make sure that you give yourself credit for doing what you can do. I mean, in all honesty, I'm going to finish recording this podcast today and hand it over to our podcast editor so that she can do the amazing work that she does. That means I do my job well, which is imparting information with you. She does her job well, which is editing it. So sometimes if you can find teams like us that will help and support you along the way as well. And that's what you might need. The other thing that happens with content and visibility and burnout is the perfectionism. I have seen business owners, people sit on amazing content for weeks because they're tweaking it, rewriting it, getting the videos out there, and they're waiting till they feel more ready. Meanwhile, the audience thinks that they've ghosted them. They've never received the message and they don't know the thing exists. One of the most powerful shifts you can make if you're feeling burnout with content now is understanding that visibility is not about perfection. It is all about connection. So educate, show up messy, show up in the PJs. I'm recording currently in PJs with my Ugg boots on because it's freezing cold and I need to. Your audience connects more strongly with content that feels real and relatable. So get out there and relate to your market. Help them, teach them, guide them, support them, clarify them, and encourage them to take that next step. Stop trying to perform visibility and start building relationships, because that's what you'd be doing if you were meeting someone in person. So online, why are we putting unrealistic pressure on ourselves? And then there's one thing with visibility that we need to do regularly, is make sure that the strategy that we're using supports the business and the life that we're trying to build. Because the visibility should support our business growth. If it's working against us, don't do it. And it shouldn't consume every hour of your life. A system that constantly drains your energy is going to be very difficult and to sustain and continue to get out there and continue to show up. Visibility needs structure. There should be content rhythms for you in your visibility, repurposing rhythms, engagement rhythms, campaign rhythms, and even recovery rhythms. I'm going to go watch a movie after this podcast is recorded. It's my last in my list. And by doing that, I'm going to have rhythm that creates sustainability. And a sustainable visibility program will create long-term momentum more than you can do with a quick burst here and there. So let's leave you with a visibility audit that you can do now on your ecosystem that you've got out there. Ask yourself, where does my audience naturally engage most consistently? What content forms feel strongest and most sustainable for me to create? What long-form anchor content can I build consistently? And then how can I branch supporting content from that anchor piece? Where am I? Yes, this is a hard question. Overcomplicating visibility. And then finally, does my strategy support the business and life I'm trying to build? Because strong visibility isn't about constant pressure. It's about systems and contribution that allows people to be able to connect with you and your message over time in a way that means that you're still there for them when they need you. Thanks so much for joining me on this episode. Until next time, get out there and create impact for you and your business, and make sure you do it in a way that's not going to burn you out at the same time.
Thank you for listening to another episode of Talk with Linda Reed-Enever. Make sure you subscribe via your favourite podcast app so you don't miss the next great episode. You can find more ideas and inspiration at enevergroup.com.au.